So, hi Lynne.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us what is energy poverty?
I'm defining energy poverty as a household needing to pay more than 10% of their income on their energy bills, and in particular on their electricity bills. What's been found overseas is a lot of more vulnerable low-income households are paying more than 10% on, in the UK they call it fuel, and they define that as fuel poverty, more than 10% being paid on energy. Climatic conditions are different in Australia for households, but electricity prices have risen quite considerably in the last 15 years, and in the last 3 to 5 years they've escalated quite rapidly.
Is energy poverty a new thing? Or do you think that the recent price increases have created energy poverty? Has it been creeping up on us over time?
I think that's a good point. I think it has been creeping up. My earlier research on the Australian electricity sector showed that following the restructuring that started in the 1990s, the household electricity prices started to steadily rise, but not for business. So there were some steady increases. The ABS collected statistics for some time on household expenditure, but we haven't had any new information since 2003-04. Some estimates have been done, and those estimates show that some households are paying 15 to 25% of their income. So I think it has been creeping up on us, and it's been masked by aggregate figures, estimates of the average household, which is what the regulators talk about, the average household with 2 children and this sort of consumption. We're not an average. Society is not an average, and you'll find each household has different needs. So I think it has been creeping up, but it's been masked by this notion that we must have more competitive markets, more liberalised markets, and part of that has been this notion that prices should be set by the market and not regulated. And everyone's put more attention on looking at those things rather than perhaps the implications of households paying much higher prices. Like a 20% increase in your prices for your electricity is very significant when your wages or your pension are not rising by commensurate amounts. That's a huge increase if your use of electricity is not changing.
Energy retailers have hardship programs for their customers, but one of the concerns that PIAC has is that people are using credit to pay for their electricity bills. So on paper it doesn't look like these customers are in hardship. Have you got any ideas about how we could access those people and get some understanding about what measures could help them if they're experiencing energy poverty?
That's a difficult one, because I think when you're vulnerable and when it comes to income, there's some hesitancy for people to want to talk about their personal circumstances. We need to overcome this notion that it's through some fault of their own, they're not managing their resources very well.
Do you think that there's a case for having different approaches for different types of households? Say an older person who's on the single age pension, who's living in a private rental market, might need a different kind of assistance to, say, young people in a share house living in the rental market. Do you think that we should think about the different kinds of consumers and develop some initiatives that respond best to their needs?
Yes, short answer. I think because most hardship schemes, no forms of assistance, it's one size fits all, and it doesn't take into account those differing circumstances of households. I think now, because of energy poverty increasing so substantially, we've got to address a range of things. It's not a simple solution, it's a range of solutions that can actually address it long term.